one of the big turns that's happened day after day, she's still mad at us, is uh, this is who ordered the hit on Charlie Kirk. Think about this for a second. Okay, imagine if you're on our side of the aisle and you go, oh, the right's trying to pin this on us, and you don't believe that somebody on our side of the aisle did it. So you believe somebody like ripped, like made up this whole story, set it up, created a patsy to make the left the bad guy in this. Imagine, and there are reasons behind this, especially as people try to gin up a civil war between people, why you might be, it would be understandable that you would come to that conclusion. Might be wrong, you might be deluded in thinking it, but like I'm sure people have come to that conclusion. Somebody MK Ultra'd this guy into doing this so they could blame the left and cause, I don't know, whatever, Jade Helm, MK Ultra, like control FEMA camp shit, right? Like Alex Jones has been saying we were planning on doing to the right, but never got around to it. You can kind of be, I think you would be forgiven for thinking that, considering how sort of on the nose, Dadgad's a great way to, is a great tuning crock, that that these folks you would think the Candace Owens of the world would jump right on that storyline. That the left did it. It's clearly the left. It's a plan, and they hated him for his anti-trans views. A trans adjacent person pulled this off. Kind of makes sense logically in its venomous illogic. It's right up there with Edmund Kemper and Bundy's attitude towards women and shit. Like, of course, it led them to their actions, right? Doesn't forgive them, but it explains it. This right? Okay. But they can't. And I don't know how far in she gets in this. I'm just going to do a needle drop. Let's jump ahead to this bullshit.
Okay, we're not done playing this game.
Hold on.
Look it up. When is the last time that you used the word retrieve between you and a friend?
Retrieve? This is what she's stuck on. I need to retrieve my rifle, so it's wrapped in a towel. When's the last time you actually said towel? Don't you do towels when you're doing laundry? When's the last time you turned someone, where'd my towel go? Didn't you ask for paper towels and not a paper towel?
I'm going to retrieve something. I played this game with my entire staff, and
let's see. You all think alike.
I was able to find, since dating back for the last 3 years, 2 messages where someone used that term.
Really? Were they both about a gun wrapped in a towel? I wouldn't be shocked.
First person was somebody that was former military, and the second person was a cop. Makes sense. Okay, we're not done playing this game. Second term that I want you to look for in your phone is vehicle. Vehicle. I mean, what pops up for you? Is that something that you say? I'm just going to go outside to my vehicle. I left something in my vehicle. I'll be right back. I parked my vehicle outside. I don't remember where I parked my vehicle.
Uh-huh. Well, if you're trying to describe it, you usually say car, my car, right? You'd say car, or you'd say, the jalopy. The reason you say vehicle is because you're trying not to be descriptive. That maybe if you just committed a crime, you don't want to key them up. What if it's truck? What if it's a motorcycle? What if it's in saddlebags of that? What if it's it's your conveyance? That's why vehicle. Thanks, Vinny.
What's popping up for you? Oh, probably literally nothing. Maybe something related to the DMV. That's what came up for me. Things about the DMV. I think for Skylar, something came up for his car wash. Your vehicle is ready. Sounds pretty professional. I don't know what to tell you guys, though, because what they're telling us is that is just the way the 22-year-olds are speaking these days. Apparently, they just shoot the breeze with one another and they say vehicle and retrieve. And if you don't,
These are big words. By the way, can I just say engineering student and nerds? And also, like I said, if you don't want to describe your vehicle by saying it's a car or a truck or a van, or it's out in the van, it's out in the car, it's out in the trunk of my car, it's in the, you say vehicle to keep it hidden. That would be the theory.
believe me,
Which is also not hard. Yeah, she gets so stuck on this independent in the chat. Like and that's what they're dissecting. Like, this is what happens when, like, there's so many details about this that you could just jump on with 2 feet, and they're like parsing single words.
then good. You shouldn't believe that. You shouldn't believe me when I say that. So welcome back to Candace.
Thanks. I feel welcome. I don't know about you guys. Hold on. Vehicle sounds like a very Jewish word to me, I think. Doesn't it? Okay.
Love vehicles, love fast vehicles. I'm a big vehicle person, said nobody ever. The text messages that were released yesterday in the indictment of Tyler Robinson make perfect sense if you don't think about them at all.
But they make no sense if you've been up all night reading them in bed. I mean, like, what the fuck, okay?
Like, literally, if you suspend all reason, all rationality, then they can make perfect sense. That's the only way. You just have to stop thinking. You got to get to that point where you're
Right. By the way, this is not an accident. This is so if you take anything at face value, or you think someone's overplaying this when it's kind of unnecessary, or you think it's a manufactured thing, you're basically saying, I think this was drafted up so that the roommate could distance themselves from, their, like, so that they wouldn't get their roommate in trouble or their partner in trouble. So they fucking chat GPT'd this whole exchange or whatever. Then just fucking say that. But the insistence in this idea that if anybody goes, no, I can see why they would talk like that around any particular thing, because that's who they are, not who you are. You don't talk like that, but they do. Like, Silicon Valley is full of people who talk like this, and these people were all like online engineering and coding nerds, all in these groups. So maybe that's their thing, maybe it isn't. It's so stupid.
like, are we still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? No, to be fair. Now we are more broadly considering how stupid the feds believe that we are.
Well, I mean, I think they've just written me off as being un-American, but I think they definitely think you're a dopey shithead. They believe that you'll bitch and moan about this crap to no end, but then when it really comes down to it, you'll tell everybody that Dems are worse and get back in line.
And the frankly obnoxious messages that someone strung together
Frankly, they're obnoxious. Okay.
must clearly be for either our or their own entertainment. So I want to hyper focus on them.
Sorry. So Kash Patel's FBI, in conjunction with the Utah state and local police, crafted this indictment and cut these texts out, made them up out of whole cloth to fuck with Candace Owens. To just dick with you guys. That's the theory now? That not only do they know they're going to get away with it, but they're just fucking wagging their dicks at you. That's shit.
I want to actually hyper focus on what exactly is wrong with these text messages between like.
Well, maybe there's a different, like, hyper focus is can be a anti-wisdom. Wisdom is where you can step back and get a broad view of the whole picture, and then you can pick out parts of it that don't stand out because of the greater, the prevailing amount of evidence or circumstance points in one direction, and this could be cutting against that. But feel free to dive in for another, whatever this is, hour and 11 minutes.
And Tyler. Now, first and foremost, the obvious thing, there's no timestamps, right?
Yeah, they don't need them for the indictment. The timestamps will be in the court case, in the evidence. And also, the only area where you can if these assholes want to flip out, they can flip out if Tyler takes a deal so there's no case, so that evidence doesn't come out. Although I'm fairly certain, like, Cash Patel and those guys would release the stuff with the timestamps and all that kind of stuff just to fuck with people.
Right away, major red flag. Very easy to say he sent the first message at this time. It's a part of your investigation.
Yeah, but they don't need that for the indictment. It was said. They will make the case when it was said and that it's in line with stuff. They don't have to convince the judge. The judge isn't going to go, oh, he said this after Charlie was killed, right? But not exactly when. 2 hours? 1 hour? The next day? The next morning? Like, this is so fucking lazy.
Right? Everybody is on edge globally wanting to know what happened. And they just...
I don't know. I don't know if they're globally on edge. Trump certainly isn't. He's over there fucking giving King Charles a hand job.
Remove that. But don't worry, you guys, because like I told you, one of the things that me and Charlie always believed in was that we could work harder. And I got to tell you, these devils are working pretty hard, but we can work harder than them.
These devils. I would presume you mean Cash Patel and the devils around Donald Trump in the White House and the Department of Justice? That's what we're talking about, right? I mean, if you're going to dive down and be specific, it isn't fucking Comey. It's not Peter Strzok. It's not Joe fucking Biden.
Okay. And I decided to go back and on the basis of what Tyler Robinson allegedly writes to his lover, I decided I could work them into the timeline. I could work out an approximate timeline, at least, for us to look at visually for when they had to have been sent.
I'm going to guess after Charlie Kirk killed, before he turns himself in, probably within a 3-hour window on the 11th in the morning. Yeah, when the pictures came out. Like because that was the whole thing about seeing the picture, and that's what triggered so after the pictures come out and before he turned himself in. What do you think the chances are, guys? What do you think? What do you think? If she says September 9th.
Sent on the basis of what he's saying, right? Because he says certain things that were not revealed to the public at a certain time. So we're going to do that.
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. I guess the assumption in the indictment that they happened after things happened, that when they're describing things that happened, that the descriptions happened after the thing that they're describing happened. Fuck me.
I also want to point out the fact that the language, which many people said online, somebody actually left a very funny comment. It's like borderline poetic. He's got commas in there. It's like perfect English. And that's actually a striking contrast compared to what's inscribed on the casings, right?
Well, it's a lot easier to type on your phone than carve words on a fucking bullet shell, right? And also, like, in general, there's not a lot of room for poetry. What an asshole.
He goes through all of these memes that he's
right, which are in their own way, I think, nerd poetry.
Written, and I'm not hip to the lingo. Okay, you got to be real deep internet and hip, but for whatever reason, when he's writing these messages, he's very proper, extremely proper, right? What really wants to make sure he gets the punctuation.
Well, he's an asshole who thinks he's talking to his dear love about a crime he just committed. It's ego. Jesus.
Correct.
Sounds like a boomer cop.
Let's just dive right back into the timeline. Let's dive right back into this.
Get back in that timeline. Timeline, Karen. Explaining to all of us how time functions allegedly. That's not how it works. All right, here we go.
This conversation, and we're at first going to focus on the third message.
I think, yeah, start with first. You should start with third, yeah.
And don't forget just to lead up.
Then go back to the second one because that helps with the timeline, and then jump to 7, and then come back to 1. I think, is that clear? Everybody got, who's got their whiteboard out?
Into this. They are telling us that at no time that we're allowed to know on September 10th, after Charlie Kirk was shot, the roommate, that's Lance, received a text message from Robinson, which said, "Drop what you are doing, look under my keyboard." And so Lance, I don't know what he does all day, but he can do that. He knows he's home. And Lance then
He knows how to look under a keyboard.
runs. I'm saying he ran, prances. Who knows?
Fuck you. Prances. Because trans, because gay. That's it. I just want to point out who we're dealing with. Okay.
And looks, and he sees this note. And to be clear, we're never going to be able to see that note because the feds have since told us that the note was destroyed. But even though he destroyed the note, he took a picture of it. Yeah, that makes sense because if you're going to destroy something, the best thing to do is to take a picture of it.
Right. If your partner has got a gun and just killed somebody, and maybe you're concerned for your own safety, I'm just spitballing.
The feds saw the picture, but we're not going to be able to see either. Anyways, don't think about it if you want it to make sense. Then we find out that Lance, I guess, decided to take a picture and then text Tyler back. And here is where he asks him, Lance says, Tyler, what? You're joking, right? Because, the note said, I had the opportunity to take out Charlie Kirk, and I'm going to take it. So Lance is like, what? You're joking. And
yeah, we went through this yesterday.
Robinson says to him, Tyler says, I'm still okay, my love, but I am stuck in Orem. That's the town, okay, that UVU is at, for a little while longer yet. So poetic. A little while longer yet. I'm going to look that up on my phone later. It shouldn't be long until I can come home, but I got to grab my rifle still.
Yes, nothing more poetic than gotta grab my rifle still.
To be honest,
later the use of retrieve comes in, but it starts out with gotta grab. And again, look, the point of this I would like to make clear is not the veracity of this particular note or the veracity of the shooter or any of that stuff. I'm pointing out the fact that regardless, they have to find something else. And they will make this not make sense because it doesn't fit what they need. How a few people say he's not the killer. Yeah, I'm sure a lot of people do. It's the fucking internet.
Hope to keep this secret till I died of old age. I'm sorry to involve you. Now, I want to jump to this next message because it gives us a timeline.
There's a bunch of people on the right saying that the two people on either side of him shot him, his own security, because they were paid by Israel. That's part of what she's selling without actually doing it. Does that make sense? Yeah, she wants the trans roommate in jail. That's all this is about.
Says to him, I assume right away, Lance says, you weren't the one who did it, right? And Robinson says, I am. I'm sorry. And the roommate says, I thought they caught the person. Okay. And Robinson responds, no, they grabbed some crazy old dude, then interrogated someone in similar clothing. I had planned to grab my rifle from my drop point shortly after, but most of that side of town got locked down.
Yes, this sounds so old-fashioned. I think it's the use of thee, thou, and ye that really drives me crazy.
It's quiet, almost enough to get out, but there's one.
Oh, somebody's like, how do you believe anything that comes from Cash's FBI? That's not the point. This didn't come from Cash's FBI. These are state charges. This was a murder that happened in Utah. That's the thing.
Vehicle lingering. Okay, so that lets us actually be able to drop that into the timeline pretty simply.
Yes, the word groceries. It's such an old word.
Why? Because we know, and we can pull up this timeline, that they at first thought it was George Zinn, so that's who he's referencing, some crazy old dude. And on the timeline, Skylar, if you want to pull that up so we can go through it, what time Charlie gets shot at 12:23 p.m. Scroll down a bit. George Zinn, we learn about 30 minutes after that, George Zinn, the decoy boy, that's when it's announced that
the decoy boy.
That he's a suspect in custody by the Utah police. But it's not until, by the way, 5:30 p.m., because he mentions that second suspect, and he curiously says in that correspondence that he's wearing similar clothing, which I find to be strange. We don't know what that second suspect is wearing until 5:30 p.m., when Governor Cox, 12 minutes into a press conference, the press conference began at 5:30 p.m., mentions that the second suspect, who is a person of interest, is wearing all dark clothing. So the earliest that message could have been sent out.
Right. And it could have been sent out right up to the time. It could have been done in the car ride to the fucking police station. Duh.
Is after 5:30 p.m. I think it's unlikely because I think, again, this is all made up, these messages, because he says wearing similar clothing. Okay, he tells us dark clothing. What's similar about that? This guy allegedly, when he did this, was wearing black jeans and was wearing, dark jeans and a black shirt. So that's like everyone on campus, okay? Nobody in the press conference said.
No, he had a hoodie on when he jumped off the roof, and they were talking about that afterwards. This is so stupid.
We picked him up because he was wearing something.
This is, by the way, this is how, like, this will be evidence to someone later. This will be, somebody will take a fucking sentence of this and drag it out into, she said yesterday that he had a shotgun. We'll recall that. That's going to become, like, I guarantee there are dozens of motherfuckers that watch this show that think that the guy actually killed Charlie Kirk with a shotgun from 200 yards away.
Similar to the shooter. So that language right there is actually a mistake from the feds. But again, it allows us to be able to plot it into the timeline. So that's good. Okay. Timeline.
Again, a mistake from the feds, because he couldn't have said that because similar clothing means a black t-shirt and dark jeans. Like,
line is back up here. And we then know Kash Patel tweets that the subject in custody has been released. Our investigation continues. That was a mistake. The guy in the darker clothing, we don't know who that is. And then it's after, again, like I said, that these correspondences then had to take place. So we're talking.
Yes, anytime between then and the next day.
About late in the evening, okay, 6 hours on. I'm wondering what it is that Tyler Robinson is doing throughout this entire time. Skylar, you can keep this up because I want to keep scrolling, okay? When he
jumped off the rooftop, he was wearing a black hoodie, and he got rid of it later. Was the idea that he had a collared up, like that's the whole dressed in all black shit. And then he changed clothes later. The clothes he came in, like the shirt or whatever, in his bag, he had a hoodie so that he would be completely in black. And while he did it, and then he got rid of some of it later. Like, that's the theory. And again, none of this is fucking meaningful to the
throughout this entire time, because that's a very long time for him to be just around campus. But then luckily he's gonna let us know what he's doing, right? He's gonna jump right in here and he's telling us that he's close to the scene. We know in this conversation that he then says to Lance that he's looking to get that rifle, right? He says, "I'm wishing I had circled back and grabbed it as soon as I got to my vehicle. I'm worried what my old man would do if I didn't bring it back." Oh, I'm sorry. Let's actually go earlier. He then tells us his ally.
This is great when you're doing a timeline. Anyways, my point overall is that this points more towards an affliction that's going on in the right wing. That even when they're handed what they want on a silver platter, it won't matter. And this is a fight that is happening amongst them. I think most of us can agree that if Tyler Robinson at some point there's a preponderance evidence, and there's an actual trial, and Tyler Robinson has an attorney, and they will go through the details of this, and in the evidence, if it's discovered such that that he committed this crime, he will be found guilty in a court of law like fucking Kohlberger was in Idaho. Right? Or he confessed. He ultimately, I think, took a plea deal. It's less important about this event because, like I said, these assholes don't care about Officer Rose, who was killed in cold blood by a fucking right-winger who shot up the CDC, right? They're not picking that shit apart. 500 rounds? Who the fuck? How many? Okay, so there's 30 rounds per thing. They've got 500 rounds. How many times did they reload? Did they have 2 guns and another thing? And like, that's so impossible. In 147 rounds, what were they shooting in 3-round bursts? They're not cutting that shit up and breaking it down, okay? Do you see my point? They're fucking going through this with a fine-tooth comb. Meanwhile, ignoring the kind of Occam's rubber mallet of the other circumstance out of a choice. And it's a values choice. And under normal circumstances, they would use this, and they want to use this, as a bludgeon to attack people on the left. people, Democrats and fucking liberals and Antifa and whoever the fuck else. And they don't give a shit about Charlie Kirk's life. They don't give a shit about Charlie Kirk's family, or, they're maybe a little worried that Turning Points USA needs to continue so the funding can flow because it's a friend of the president's promo organization, right? They don't care about the actual lives lost or even the person in it. Except to the point where it satisfies a narrative. The problem they have is that their narrative choice is all over the fucking map. Some of them just wanted to be a trans person adjacent that killed him, and because he was mean to trans, and then trans people are crazy, and we're being too nice to people with mental illness, and we have to start treating this like, I don't know, whatever the fuck. They're trying to round up people, that they view as mentally ill. And or assume that trans people are violent or anything. That's what they want. There's a chunk of these fucking people that want to assume that. But the weird part is and normally that would be that, right? But there's a huge swath of right-wingers who are so busy infighting, and there's so much crisscross about Israel and Russia and Ukraine and Democrats and fucking QAnon and all this stuff that they can't disassociate it. They can't break it down. Yes, it's stochastic craziness. Nevitz forever. Yeah. It's not even stochastic terrorism because it's so blind and random. And I would argue that's one of the things that's more dangerous about it. You know what I mean? The most dangerous thing about it is that it's just anybody can be a target because they don't fucking they can't even narrowcast. People like HBCUs got fucking death threats when it was never even assumed that the shooter was black or had anything to do with like a graduate of a traditionally black college or something. You know what I mean? It's randomness, and it's being dislodged from any anchor in reality. And so there are these little fucking satellite versions of truth and fiction that are driving these fuckers into the fucking reeds. So that's my kind of concern in this, and I gotta say, it's not 100% that their targets will be entirely Democrats or left-leaning people or whatever. Right-wingers are just as in danger by these motherfuckers. Because they're just randomly calling for violence and flailing and trying to attach victimhood and violence. They're trying to inject it into it. So that's the key in this situation, is that on the one hand, normally I would say, oh shit, here it comes. The right wing's going to attack the left wing. And this is like another fucking, these January 6th guys are all getting wound up to go after, the DNC headquarters or some shit like that. But in reality, they're eating each other as much as they're attacking the left. And Candace Owens is an example of how these motherfuckers are convinced that Kash Patel and Donald Trump, because of Ivanka being married to a Jew and their relationship with Israel and all this kind of stuff, are convinced that that's where this is all coming from. That Tyler Robinson very well may be an innocent victim in this, and either, a patsy or led astray by the sexiness of the transes by a Jewish conspiracy that owns the White House. For real. It's and the odd part is that everybody's, rightly so, I think on our side, worried about them carrying out violence against people on the left or people, who speak out on Democratic issues or Democratic politicians or fucking, me or Rachel Maddow or people like that who talk about this kind of stuff. But in reality, if you look at the conversation anywhere outside this kind of the pedestrian bullshit on Fox, what we're seeing is that they're more apt to attack each other. Yeah. So it's, let's see. Yeah. And yeah, I'm seeing about the Kimmel thing, and I'm not gonna get wound up in stuff I can't control that are network choices. I've been through them myself, so don't give them any ideas. Well, that's the thing, Bingo. QAnon shaman, perfect. Okay, da. So, again, well, I'll show you here. Here's the 5. This is, we're getting near the end, but I'll show you this real quick. This is the 5 when they're talking about, I guess, Jimmy Kimmel talking about Tyler Robinson, and allegedly this may have been what led to him going off the air, but we'll see.
Well, just moments ago, the suspected killer of Charlie Kirk formally charged with aggravated murder and 6 other counts. Now, unfortunately, some on the left continue to cheer the killing. FBI Director Kash Patel and Senator Cory Booker. It hasn't been about him, so he made it about himself, getting into a shouting match over the rise of the violent rhetoric. Watch.
That rant of false information does not bring this country together.
Oh, by the way, you notice how the 5 doesn't play what Cory Booker said?
If you want to work on bringing this country, it's my time, not yours.
My God.
If you want to talk about
dividing this country,
it is my
I follow
time.
you on your social media posts that
It is
tear
my
this country
time
apart.
to
There
address
should be a
your
unifying.
falsehoods.
Oh,
You are an
you can try
embarrassment
all
to the
you
division
want
in this
to
country.
not.
He's an embarrassment to the division in this country. Cory Booker, you are not as divisive as you're supposed to be. We are trying to divide this country, and you are fucking it up for everybody.
Take responsibility
time.
for what
You
you
had
have
your
said.
time.
Sir, you're
Your
making
time
a
is
mockery of this
over.
committee. Sir, you don't tell me my time is over.
You
The
know how
people
far
of New
we've
Jersey
come
tell me
since
what
you
my time
told-
is. You can't lecture me.
You can tell me
Sir,
my time's over?
You may be the charge of the
I'm not
FBI,
going anywhere.
but I am not afraid of you, sir.
Chairman.
Not afraid of you.
Ooh, tough guy. And as numerous workers get fired for posting on.
Hold on one second, real quick. Kennedy. Let's see. Cory Booker. Building. Yeah. Yeah, pretty tough guy. Number 1 reason to live next door to Newark Mayor Cory Booker: he might just save your life one day. Booker saw flames and smoke pouring from the second floor of a small apartment building next to his home late Thursday night after he returned from an interview with a local news program. But seeing no residents outside, he rushed into the 2-story building looking for residents with his 3-man security detail in tow. I just grabbed her and whipped her out of bed, rescued a resident amid a raging fire. My first instinct when I jumped through the kitchen was all in flames. I actually wasn't thinking. When I got there and couldn't find her and all the smoke, that's when I had very clear thoughts that I'm not going to get out of this place alive, Booker said. It's just your come to Jesus moment. Yesterday, all my problems were really big to me. Today, things feel more clear. I have a lot more respect for firefighters. He also dismissed his branding as a superhero after rescuing the woman. I think that's way over the top. Honestly, there are firefighters that do this every day. I'm a neighbor that did what most neighbors would do, which is jump into an action to help a friend. Yeah. Yeah, Kennedy. Yeah, he's a tough guy. You know who's never done that? Kash fucking Patel. Mr. fucking dime store badge. Mr. fake badge, what is it, a brick agent.
Social media, disgusting celebrations of the murder of Charlie Kirk. Some folks in the media are now suddenly worried about cancel culture. Watch this.
Yeah, right-wingers.
Most of these people are not public figures. They were anonymous until a few days ago when this conservative campaign organized online targeting people that it says are attacking Kirk. Look, this is a new form of cancel culture.
This does seem to be turning into a very aggressive attempt to purge not just, government officials, specifically people who work in education, who work in healthcare, who work in government. So it's already getting a little bit out of hand.
Yeah.
Ooh, smell his beard from here. Nasty. And then
The fuck does that mean, lady? You can smell his beard from here? For real? What is that? Is that just a men with beards kind of a thing? I don't even know where that comes from. unless she knows him personally. We'll just write it off.
This is a new low. Last night, Jimmy Kimmel implied the suspected killer of Charlie Kirk was MAGA.
We hit some new lows over the weekend with the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them and doing everything they can to score political points from it.
The guy who used to watch women bounce on trampolines, Greg, has turned into a laughable political pundit. What did you make of Jimmy Kimmel's comments?
Well,
Greg would have loved to have that job. Do you think Greg wouldn't jumpstart the fucking Man Show?
he didn't imply it. He said it. I might have to watch Kimmel tonight to see what he has to say about this, because if he doesn't address what he did, he's done. I mean, this is a great case study, though, of cognitive dissonance. You know, how can such a smart, successful man be so wrong? How can he live in this kind of denial? It's because he knows he's wrong. And if you strip that away, what's left? If you wrestle him away from
This is so weird. Like, I don't know where this... All right.
this delusion that he's stuck with for years.
Well, then if he knows he's wrong, then it's not a delusion. He's you mean he's a grifter. Grifters aren't deluded. He either believes it or he doesn't.
About Trump supporters, about Trump, about Republicans in general.
Oh, okay. You mean about Trump not being a rapist? You mean like if he had that in reality he has Trump derangement syndrome, the kind that would make you so fucking nuts that you think Trump isn't a scumbag that mistreats women, and you would vote for him anyways because you get what you want out of him instead of just admitting it. It's just he's just grifting on the idea. Is that the theory?
What's left? What's underneath that? The realization that you are the bad guy in the movie. You're not a defender
Sorry, Jimmy Kimmel is the villain
of democracy. You're a defender of destructive delusions. I mean, hate to tell you, buddy, but the guy who shot and killed Charlie Kirk was more likely a fan of yours than he was in
No. The shooter did not watch Kimmel.
In MAGA.
Like, again, any more than he fucking liked his MAGA parents. Again, that's the great thing about fucking anarchists and edgelord revolutionaries, is that they don't belong to either camp, dumb fuck.
I think the hardest part is getting people to acknowledge their role in this brainwash. But once you get past that denial, you're left with something that nobody wants.
First of all, he's reading these comments. And I would like to point out to Greg Gutfeld again. Greg, your episode of The Five is dedicated to Officer Rose, who was gunned down by a right-wing anti-vax lunatic in an attempt, by the way, to murder dozens of people and only successfully killing a police officer. And you didn't give a fuck. You didn't miss a step. You didn't miss a stride. You continued bullshitting yourself day in and day out. So don't give me any bullshit about Jimmy fucking Kimmel and the twisted opinions that people are gathering, trying to figure out what the fuck, if anything, Tyler Robinson actually believed when this guy, who was a police officer, was murdered by an anti-vaxxer that believes in RFK Jr., that believes in Donald Trump, and tried to kill dozens of other people at the same time. Not a targeted political killing of somebody rich and powerful that happened to help your guy get elected. Just anybody in that fucking building and anybody at the CVS across the fucking street. Greg Gutfeld doesn't give a rat fuck about any crime that he can't use as ammunition or as a punchline. Period. God damn. This is so lazy. It makes sense that he's drinking like out of a turd mug in his like, and you wouldn't swap that out when allegedly your friend was killed while you're talking about this shit for the week. Especially because it's not like the Gutfeld Night Show. This is in the after fucking noon. Anyways. So, anyways. I'm going to let you guys go. Thank you guys so much. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Take care of yourselves and take care of somebody else. And remember, one of the things you can do is when extraordinary things happen in the political arena or on social media or, on the news or something like that, it is completely okay for you to digest and contemplate the information before you react. No one is going, hey, did you show up and shit talk somebody really quickly? You got plenty of time. Use that time to consider best practices, decency, ethics, morals, and then do what I do. Swear like a fucking truck driver and tell anybody who disagrees with you to eat shit from the comfort of knowing that you thought it through. You're not reacting. You've done the homework. I think it's so funny. I recognize this lately, and that there's a glass ceiling on my show. I have definitely got on my show a limit to its reach. And it comes from two particular areas in the algorithm. One is I talk like an adult, and because we're talking about adult shit. So I swear because I mean what I say. And I'm not going to talk differently in this environment. If I'm, in a room with my grandmother, I don't talk about that the same way. And if I, or my kid or whatever, I can regulate that. But this is my show, my way. The other thing is, when I say that Donald Trump raped someone, I don't bleep out, blur, or get rid of the word rape because it's a word that has meaning and value. And I don't fuck around with this, like, tap dancing around the seriousness of these words. And so I recognize that. I know that. I know that my show will never get the reach of a Midas Touch or something like that because I fucking swear. But I mean what I say, I stand by what I say, and I care. And if you care too, I'll see you tomorrow or something. I'll see you at the next one. Meanwhile, I will say that I really enjoyed Trump's speech next to whatever that king person is in the United Kingdom. And I'm not gonna buy into some like conspiracy theory bullshit just because everybody feels the need to be right ahead of the truth. That has no value. Better to wait and be right than be wrong in a hurry.
The screen glows bright with a crooked smile.
Talking about you, Candace, dipshit.
Words spill out.
Hit that like, everybody. Thank you guys so much. Have a beautiful night. I'll see you tomorrow.